and then I'll share now. Okay. I think we're now good. Okay, we're now in business. Okay, so we're on P3. We're at the bottom of the page. On P2, is everyone following where we're at? Sorry it took me 20 minutes to get started, but now we're ready. Let's go. So this one is on equations and inequalities. So the first one we're going to do, it says, is -1 a solution for x over 2 plus 1/6 equals x over 3? How do we find out if that's a solution? Plug it in. Very good. So every time I see x, I'm going to plug in -1. So I've got -1 over 2 plus 1 over 6 equals -1 over 3. And I'm going to put a little question mark over the equal sign because I don't know if they're equal yet. I want them to be equal, but I don't know if they are yet. So I'm just going to put that there. If I can simplify this left side in order to equal -1/3, then I'm good. This is fractions, which I know is everyone's favorite. We can get this in terms of over 6 though. So -1/2 is the same thing as -3 over 6. And then 1/6 is fine as it is. I'm still not sure if that equals -1/3. And then I'm going to combine those terms. -3 plus 1 is -2 over 6 equals -1/3. Kirsten, we're at the bottom of the page on P3. So we just started. It took me like a long time to get started, but you were right on time on the first part.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry.
All right. Now I've got -2 over 6. Is that equal to -1/3?
Yeah.
Yes. If I simplify it, it does equal that. You don't have to keep all your question marks. I just like to do that so I know that I'm not sure if they equal each other. It's not a real equality. It's not an actual statement until I know that they equal each other. So I'm going to write, yes, that is a solution. -1 is a solution of the equation given to me. All right. That's the only one we're doing like that. But if I ever ask you, is something a solution, you can plug it in and see. Now we're going to do identifying if it's a linear equation. What is a linear equation?
Straight line.
Straight line? Anything else? Do you remember like the general equation you learned in Algebra 1? Y equals mx plus b. If it's in this form at all, it's linear. Can it be x squared? Is that linear?
No.
Nope. What do we know what that is? Parabola, which is a quadratic. Yes, nod with me. Yes, thank you. Okay. What about like root x? Does that work? Is that linear?
No.
No. What about like 1 over x? Do you remember what those are called? I think we call those the reciprocal functions. They look something like this. Don't worry, we'll get into that later. Did you guys look at graphs like that before?
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably didn't study them too in depth. We'll do a little bit more in depth, but that is an option, but that's not a line, so that doesn't work. What about like x to the third? Does that work?
No.
So only an x by itself is linear. So go through and tell me which ones are linear and which ones are not. You don't have to tell me what they are. You just have to say yes or no. Yes, linear. No, not linear. See what you know. All right, we have.
Sometimes, like A, is that a 2 or a Z?
Does it matter?
I don't know.
It doesn't, but it's a 2. My z's have a little x through it. It's a 2. So let's think about it. For A, is that linear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. It's just x by itself. What about the next one? I'd say yes. It has just x's by itself. No exponents, nothing crazy. That would be linear. What about C?
No.
No, why not? Good. The square root's my sign that it's not. What about D?
Yeah.
There is no x, right? So I'm going to say that's no. It has to have an x. What about E?
No.
Nope, it's got an x squared. And then what about F?
Yes.
I'm going to argue that this makes it no. It has to be very basic. Linear is the most basic that we can get. Just x by itself and then numbers. That's it. All right. Now we're going to solve. We're going to do a lot of solving. What I want to stress before, so on one page, I've got all of these equations. How do I know that they're equations? They have an equal sign. On the second page, I have these inequalities. And how do I know that they're inequalities? They have inequality signs. That's the only difference. Then we've got some other stuff later on. So remember that an equation has an equal sign. Inequalities have inequality signs. So if you need to make a note, let's maybe do that. I'm going to write it off to the side just so I don't forget. So equation means equal sign. Inequality means any of the inequality signs. Less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Now, how many solutions can you get in an equation? One. One solution. That's it. What about inequality? You can just, we're going to say many. We're going to say many because it's in an expression. It would be like x is greater than 1. How many answers are there? Infinite, right? And there's an infinite numbers between 1 and infinity. So when we have an inequality, you're going to have many answers. There's not just one correct answer. When you have an equation, you get one answer. Everybody with me? Awesome. Okay. Letter A for number 3. Let's solve that. I'm just going to walk through it. If you think that you're awesome at equations, and you just keep blowing through, okay? But I'm going to talk through it because that's just how I'm going to roll today. You work on your own and then check in with me every so often. I know you may need me. The first couple you probably don't. But for those of you who do, I'm just going to keep talking. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. I'm going to add 6 to both sides, get all my variables on one side, get all my constants on the other. 10 equals 5x. Divide by 5. X equals 2. Wow, that was an easy one we started with. Next one are fractions. Even though we struggle with fractions sometimes, remember that to get rid of it, we're going to multiply by the opposite reciprocal. 3 over 2, 3 over 2. You can multiply straight across here. I can do 4 times 3 and 5 times 2, or I'm going to simplify. So I see 4 on top and 2 on bottom. Those both have a factor of 2. So I can take a 2 out of both to simplify it so I don't have to do it later on. 3 times 2 is 6. 5 times 1 is just 5. Fractions are for sure acceptable answers. That is okay. Okay with me. All right, keep rolling. Letter C, I've got to distribute first and then combine my like terms. Am I moving too fast or are we doing okay?
Good.
Awesome. So shoot my arrows to distribute. I'm going to include this -4 all together. If I just distribute the 4, I may forget that everything also needs to be -2. So I'm going to make sure I distribute the negative with the 4. So 3 times 5 is 15z. See how that z has a little mark in it?
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's how I tell. I'm not super neat at writing. And these are Mrs. Ford's handwriting, and she's not super neat either, but we put little crosses in our z's just so we don't get confused. And then minus -4 times 2 is -8z. -4 times 1 is -4z equals 5z minus 2. Combine. Those go together. Oop, I'm not going to go across. I'm just going to do on one side. 15 minus 8z, dear goodness, is 7z. -9 plus -4 is -13. Move to the other side. Minus 5z plus 13. Hi. Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Plus 13, so I've got 11 on one side and 2z on the other. Divide, our fractions okay? Sure, why not? Sure, why not?
Hold it down.
I don't often know what happens. I just smile and nod a lot, guys. That's how I get by in this school. All right. Any questions so far? Feeling good? What's up?
I'm sorry, I'm just a little, I don't, probably maybe because I was trying to catch up, but with this, you said 7z because you did 15 minus 8z, and then you got 7z, okay, and then you did 9, and then you, okay, I'm sorry, I was just trying to catch up
That's
really
okay.
quickly. Okay, I think I'm good, thank you.
You're all the same page with us? We're all at the same place?
I think so. Well, actually, can we go back to number 6 really quickly because I had a quick question, sorry.
Number
It was
letter B?
6, on number 6, yeah, on 3. How did you get the 6 over 5?
So I wanted to simplify before I moved on. So I saw 4 and 2 have the same factor. So since they're opposite of the equation of the fraction bar, then I can simplify here. You could have just multiplied straight across and gotten 12 over 10, but then you would have to simplify that again. And I didn't want to do a second step.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yep, Ava? Yes. I could have messed up. If I mess up, just tell me.
Well, I think you just did it.
Did you get 11 over 2?
Well, I got negative 11
Did you move?
So,
I bet you had negative 2z equals negative 11.
I got I got minus 13 instead of plus 13. And then 7z minus 13 equals 5z minus 2.
7z minus 13 equals 5z minus 2. Yep, I had that.
And then I added 13. Oh, wait. I don't know how. You're right.
It sounds like you were doing the right things. You just lost a negative somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep going. D and E. I've got these fractions. And guys, I don't like fractions. I don't want to deal with them if I don't have to. So I'm going to get rid of them first step. The denominator on letter D's fraction is 4. So I'm going to multiply everything by 4. Let's just get rid of all of the denominators. Let's not play that game. So if I distribute 4 to this first term, it doesn't go to anything on top. It just cancels with the bottom. So I'm left with 2x minus 3. I have to keep distributing 4 now to that 5. There's nothing on bottom to cancel it out. So it's still 4 times 5, which will be 20. And then I multiply it by the 3x. And again, there's nothing on bottom, so I'm going to multiply those two together and get to 12x. Are we okay with that?
I did something different.
Yeah, what'd you do?
I just multiplied 4 out of the bottom and then multiplied 4 on the other side, but do I have to do it for 5 still?
Yes. Yeah, you did the right thing, but you have to give it to every single thing if you do that.
Okay.
All right, so now we have a very simple linear equation, just x's and constants. So I'm going to combine like terms, combine those guys. And in the same step, I'm also going to minus 2x from both sides just because we're not in Algebra 1 anymore and we can do a couple steps at once. Negative 3 plus 20 is 17, and then 12x minus 2x is 10x. Divide by 10. 17 over 10 is equal to x. Now, not the prettiest fraction, but that's also as simple as it gets. There's no common factor between 17 and 10, so this is as good as we're going to get. Similar idea for the next one. but I want to multiply by one number. I don't want to multiply by something and then have to multiply again in order to get rid of everything in the denominator. What do you think I can multiply to get rid of the 3 and the 4 and the 2? 12. All of those are multiples of 12. So if I multiply by 12 to everything, I'm going to be able to cancel each one of those denominators. If they're not all the same, like if we can't get something smaller, we could just multiply them together. 3 times 4 times 2, that would give us 24. Now we know that we can do less. We can just do 12 and cancel out. But when in doubt, you can always do that. So I'm going to multiply by 12 on everything. Make it a little nicer, neater. 12 over 1, essentially. So that's like 4 times t minus 1 plus 3 times t plus 5 equals 6 times 1. So these cancel out. I'm left with a 4. The 4 canceled out and I was left with a 3. And then last, the 2 canceled out and I was left with a 6. The reason I put parentheses in here is what we want to do. We're really tempted to just multiply like that 4 by the t, and you forget to also give it to the -1, or multiply that 3 times the t and not give it to the 5. So make sure it goes to everything. So now I'm going to distribute it through. Again, I just use parentheses because I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. I'm afraid I'm going to lose something. So I kept it very nice and organized as I went through. 4t minus 4 plus 3t plus 15 equals 6. Combine. 7t combine plus 11 equals 6. Minus 11. 7t equals -5. Divide by 7. T equals -5 over 7. All right. Any questions so far? How are we feeling with this? Pretty good? Yeah? Okay. Just solving. The hard thing is I'm giving you kind of ugly answers. I'm giving you those now so then when you get them on a test, you don't freak out. We're in pre-cal now. You're not always going to get pretty answers like 5 or 1 or 10. Like they're not always going to be even numbers. They're not always going to simplify down to be something pretty either. These are all acceptable and they're okay that they're not as pretty. All right, so we finished that whole page. Let's move on to the next. Now I've got inequalities. Is there something I need to be careful of inequalities? Flip the thing when? Very good. If you divide by a negative, you have to flip it. Most everything else is the same, so let's just work through it and see what we know. Do you want to try this on your own? I'm going to let you go. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to let you go for a few minutes, okay? So you're trying these. If you get stuck, move on to the next one, and I'll pick back up where you were leaving off, okay? And I am going to move the screen for a second so I can take attendance. Perfect, everyone's here. I love that. All right.
Oh, no, I think you're fine. So now you're dealing with that thing. And then 21 over 14 will become a factor of 7. So you have 3 over 7. And then something wrong there. And then multiplying.
Let me see. 5/7.
Oh, okay, this is it. When you have the 12 on the denominator, you can't just completely get rid of it. On this side, you have to multiply it to the other side. So what you did is you just combined two fractions. They still are in a fraction now. So you can either keep them all in one fraction up here, so it'd be like 7t plus 11/12. But somehow we're gonna have to multiply by 12 to the other side. In order to get rid of it. I like that you tried the fraction, but just think that it got a little messy there.
I don't know.
We're at a stopping point. Ready to talk. Better make my way around the room, visit with everybody. Hello, hello.
All right. All right, I'll try and, are there any that you're for sure we need to talk about? D. Can I just fly through A and B? I'll do them, I'll just move a little fast, okay? So A, I'm gonna minus 2x from both sides. I'm going to minus 3 from both sides. That gives me -4 is less than or equal to 2x. Divide by 2. -2 is less than or equal to x. What if I wanted x to go first? How would I rewrite this? The mouth eats the same thing. So if the mouth is eating x, if it's pointing this way towards x, it's got to point that way to x when we move it over. So we would have to flip the sign to say x is greater than or equal to -2. These are the same thing, just the way that they're written is flipped. So I want to practice that. Okay. All right. B. What? Ooh, I've got 2 inequalities. What do I do? You can do 2 things. You can either keep it all together and just go from all 3 parts. So I'll do that one first. You can do +2, but you have to do it from here and here. You have to do it to all 3 sections. So that gives you 1 is less than or equal to 3x, which is less than 9. And then we divide everything by 3. So that would give me 1/3 is less than or equal to x, which is less than 3. Now, you also may have learned in the past that you have to split it up. So you do like the first part, -1 is less than or equal to 3x minus 2. And then you solve that, add 2, divide by 3, 1/3 is less than or equal to x. And then you have to do the other part. So then we do 3x minus 2 is less than 7. 3x minus 2 is less than 7. Add 2, divide by 3, x is less than 3. And then we would put those 2 together. But that's what this is all together as well. Either way is fine. I find less mistakes if I go all the way through the first time like I did. Good? All right, C. I don't like fractions. I'm going to get rid of them. So I'm going to multiply by 6 to everything. 6, 6, 6. I've got a common factor of 2 here, which leaves me with a 3. So I've got 3 times 3 minus x. I've got a common factor of 3 here, so I'm left with a 2. So 2 times 5x minus 2. And then last, I've got nothing to cancel out. Whoa, sorry. Got nothing to cancel out, so I'm going to do 6 times -1, so greater than -1 times 6. Again, give it to everything, both sides of the equation. All right, distribute. I've got 9 minus 3x plus 10x minus 4 is less than -6. Combine like terms, 7x plus 5 is less than -6. Minus 5 from both sides. 7x is less than -11. Divide by 7. X is less than -11 over 7. All right. And I know D was a challenging one. Any questions on A, B, or C before I move on to letter D? No questions? All right, now we're on letter D. So let's distribute. Oh, no, let's not distribute. Let's get rid of the fractions first. When I get rid of the fractions here, I'm not going to deal with what's inside the parentheses. I am only worried about these numbers right here, 1/2, 2, and 1/3. So what should I multiply in order to get rid of all of those numbers? Mm-hmm. 6. We're going to multiply by 6. I'm only multiplying by the pink numbers. I'm not doing anything on the insides. We're going to multiply what's on the inside in a second, but I want to just get rid of the fractions that are my coefficients, and then we will bring that on the inside, okay? So I'm going to do like 6 times 1/2. That becomes 3. X plus 3 gets carried down. I haven't played with that yet. I do 6 times 2. Well, that becomes 12. Keep my x minus 4. And then I do 6 times 1/3, which becomes 2. And I keep that x minus 3. The reason I don't put it in the parentheses is because I'm going to multiply what's on the outside. I'm multiplying all those pink coefficients inside the parentheses in a minute anyway. And I don't want to double multiply them by something. I can't multiply them by 6 and then by whatever else again. I only get to do it once, so that's why I just did it on the outside. Now I'm going to distribute that 3, that 12, and that 2. 3x plus 9 plus 12x minus 48 less than 2x minus 6. Combine. $15x minus, thank you, less than 2x minus 6. Now I'm going to get my variables on one side. I'm moving the 2x, and then my constants on the other side, moving my 39. Oh, no. So that gives me 13x less than 33. Divide. I don't think that can be simplified anymore. 33 over 13. Did the fractions and the parentheses throw you guys off? Yeah. Does this make a little bit of sense now? Yeah. Perfect. Sometimes it's just knowing what order to do it with. Another thing you could have done was distribute all those things on the inside and then multiply to get rid of the fractions, but that would have given me some more fractions and bigger, uglier fractions, and I didn't want to do with that. So I got rid of them before it got too crazy. All right, try number 5. Is 2 a solution of that? Is 2 a solution? Step 1, plug it in. Step 2, solve. Step 3, decide if it's true or not. Does anyone think they know? It's a no. Why? Is 8 less than 8? No. Sometimes you get here and you're like, I don't really know what to do. This is not a true statement. 8 is not less than 8. Sometimes I put a little mark there to make sure I know. Since that's not true, it's not a true statement, then that means that that's not a solution. Not a true statement. Grace? Absolutely. So what did you do? You solved for x. So you got x is less than what? 2? So then that's also a no, because that means 2 is not in the set. I don't know how to write that anymore. It's been a while since I was in college. It's not in the set. Whoa, that's all wrong. I'm just gonna do 2 with an X to it. 2 is not in that set. I used to know a fancy way for writing it. I don't remember. Very good. You can do it either way. Very good, Grace. Thanks for bringing that up. All right. Next. We good so far? Give me some thumbs up. Affirmation, we alive? Good. We're in here until 11:15. Right? Okay. Laura's like, no way we're in here that long. It'll ring at 11:10. I mean, that's what my green paper says up there for day 6. This does feel like a really long class, doesn't it? Whew. All right. Let's keep going. All right, the next one says solve for the indicated variable. What does that mean? What do I want at the end? I want what? What did you say, Ava? I want W all by itself. So if it says solve for W, then I'm going to isolate W. Again, you can do this a couple different ways. What I would probably do is get rid of everything outside the parentheses and then move what's inside the parentheses. So I've got P equals 2 times L plus W. I'm going to divide by 2 because that's just going to get what's outside the parentheses away. So I've got P over 2 is equal to L plus W. And then I'm going to minus L from both sides. Sometimes we have trouble with this because there's like nothing to combine. That's okay. I can leave it like this. My final answer, I ran out of room, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to write P over 2 minus L, and that equals W. That's all I want. You want an ugly expression that has W by itself at the end. That's what we want. Can you try the next 2? All right. Outside the parentheses first, and then double inside. That might be a good strategy for the next. Yeah, Freddie, flip it over, Freddie, real quick. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Take another to attempt B, C, and D, and then we'll talk. Yeah.
you're all on the right track. There's some of the fractions that are talking. But let's do that on a couple people, so we'll do it all together. Everything else is good.
All right. Flip back to B. Let's do B together. All right. All right, so we're doing B first. So like the last problem, like A, I said get rid of what's outside the parentheses first. So we're going to get rid of this 1/2 h first. So a lot of us did divided by 1/2 h, divide by 1/2 h. That is correct, but I don't like fractions within my fractions. Let's think about this maybe in 2 steps instead. When you're dividing by a fraction, that's the same thing as what? Multiplying by the reciprocal. So you can think of this as, oh, that's not what I wanted. Multiplying by 2 to get rid of that 1/2 on both sides, and then dividing by h. Essentially, if you have a fraction in the denominator, if you had a over 1/2 h, that's the right math. It's just not pretty. So let's make it prettier. If you have a fraction in the bottom, you can just simply flip it. So if I flip it, it becomes 2 over 1, essentially a over h, and then the 1 is imaginary, it goes away. It's not imaginary, it's redundant. We don't need a 1 there, it's redundant. Okay, so I saw a couple of us do that, so let's fix our fractions. 2a over h. I'm not done yet, I just did the first step. So I did my 2 and my 1/2, and then I divided by h, so I've got 2a over h equals b1 plus b2. And it doesn't matter which one we're looking for. It says we want b1 by itself, so I'm going to move the other one. Inverse operation is subtraction, minus b2 minus b2. Now, the b2 is not over h. It's not being divided by h, so I want it to be 2a over h minus b2. Let me clean that up a little bit. 2a divided by h minus b2, and that is equal to b1. Okay. Similar idea on the next one. I'm going to do my fraction first. So I'm going to multiply by 3 over 4 on both sides to move my fraction. I'd like to think of that as 3v over 4 equals pi r to the third. I wanted to get rid of the number. You could do 3/4 v if that makes you happy. Does that make you happier? Yeah. Perfect. Now I'm going to divide by pi. When I divide by pi, that gives me 3v over 4 pi. Or again, if it makes you happy, you could do 3 over 4 pi and then v on the outside. It doesn't really matter. I like to be neat, though, at this point, start putting things on top and things on bottom, or else I'm not really sure where that v goes. And then that equals r to the third. And we want just r, so we got to cube root both sides. A lot of you guys got that. That was awesome. A lot of you guys got that we got to cube root both sides. And so I've got cube root of 3v over 4 pi, and that equals r. These are pretty ugly, right? These are not really like what you think. They're not nice, pretty, easy, but they're doing exactly what we want. As long as you're doing the inverse operations, you're doing the right thing. And then the last one is c equals 5 over 9, parentheses f minus 32, and we're solving for f. So again, I'm going to do my fractions, multiply by 9 over 5, 9 over 5, 9c over 5 equals f minus 32. When I add 32, does it also go under 5, or does it just go next to them? No. Next to them, very good. Sorry, I ran out of room, I got a little. You can also do 9/5 c. We like that better? They mean the same thing. They mean the same thing. So if you would rather write it this way, that is fine. Exactly right, Ava. So since it is C over 1, we can write it like that. We can write it as just a big C next to it because you know you're going to multiply. You can't do it, though, if it was C on the denominator, right? So if it was like 1 over C, you couldn't write 9 over 5 and then C next to it. It's only if it was supposed to go on top. All right. Let's do one problem to get us ready for tomorrow. Let's do slope. You guys remember slope? Reach in the back of your brain. It's there. Slope. That's slope intercept form. Say again. We are going to do this one, so we're ready for tomorrow. And then I'm going to give you the rest of classwork on homework. And was homework due today? Yeah? Okay, I'm going to collect that too. So M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's slope. We have a lot of formulas that have x1s, y1s, x2s, y2s, and we tend to forget about them. Slope is back there. I know it's back in your brain somewhere. I don't study brain, so I don't know where it is, but I know it's up there somewhere. Find it. And if not, put it on your paper so we can look at it next time I see you. Write this down because B is going to be your do now for tomorrow. So I'm going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. And so y's always go on top. Remember, slope is rise over run. Rise over run. And so rising means my vertical change, which is my y's. Run means my horizontal change, my x's. Delta y over delta x. You guys seen deltas before? They know they do that a lot in physics. Does anyone know what delta means?
Change.
Change. Pearson knew. It is a sorority. Delta is a Greek symbol in sororities, but in math and in science, it means change in. So delta is a little triangle. All right, I digress. You guys were like, I didn't need to know that today. That's okay. The more you know, right? You guys are like, I'm so over you. Welcome back to school. A full hour with Miss White. Yeah, I love it. All right, so my slope is just -3 over 4. We cool? Yeah. Today wasn't too bad, was it? Good answer. Your homework is going to be due on Wednesday. I'm assigning it today. P3 will be due Wednesday. We don't see each other Wednesday, though, so if you want to turn it in when you see me tomorrow, have it done by then. If not, you got to find me sometime on Wednesday. Or put it on Schoology. Put it on Schoology. That's always an option. Put it on my desk. Someone had a teacher put it in my mailbox in the teacher's lounge. You can do that, too, as long as I get it. I don't care how. All right, so we got about 6 more minutes. You can work on your homework. I'll come around and get your P2 if you have it. P2 if you have it. Make sure your name's on it. It is. Nope, not you, Ryan. Keep going. P2, thank you. You guys are so ready. I'll just process it.
Mrs. White?
Yeah.
Why is on the letter